Joshua lay on the ground, face bruised and bleeding, shirt torn to shreds. Hands shook violently, while cruel laughter poured from behind the glass doors. They had dragged him out like trash, mocking the man they despised. He curled in the dirt, tears mixing with blood, silently enduring pain. None of them knew the beggar they kicked was their real boss. Joshua Anderson, 30-year-old billionaire CEO of Anditech, lay humiliated outside. A sudden silence fell when the branch manager burst through the doors. "Do you idiots know who this is?" Andrew screamed, voice shattered laughter. Every smile died instantly as recognition slowly spread across their faces. But let us return to the morning when this story truly began. Joshua never flaunted wealth with gold chains or fleets of cars. He dressed simply, walked quietly, looking like any ordinary employee. Born in a dusty Kogi village to a puff-selling mother, he remembered hunger, rejection, and the cruelty shown to the poor. That memory birthed his promise. His company would value kindness first, so he went undercover regularly, testing how staff treated the powerless. This month, the new Port Harcourt branch faced his secret visit. His private jet landed before sunrise. No one noticed its arrival. In an airport toilet, he poured mud on clothes and face. A tangled wig hid his features. Lint filled his fake beard. An old nylon bag held torn files proving his true identity. He shuffled toward the gleaming Anditech building like a homeless man. Bright uniformed staff streamed past, chatting and laughing under the banner that read, "Building the future with kindness and innovation." Joshua slipped through the side gate when the guard looked away. 6 receptionists sat behind polished desks, sipping tea and gossiping loudly. He approached slowly, trembling on purpose, voice soft and pleading. "Please, I only need 1 minute with the branch manager," he said. Sandra looked up, choked on her drink, then burst out laughing. Catherine, Cynthia, and the others turned, eyes wide with mockery. "You want the manager?" Catherine sneered, grinning at his filthy state. "This isn't a charity house," Sandra added, voice dripping with scorn. "Maybe your wife is dying and you need emergency cash," another mocked. Laughter exploded around the lobby, loud and merciless as knives. Joshua bowed his head lower. "Please, just 1 minute," he begged again. Someone shoved his shoulder hard. Another slapped the file away. Hands grabbed his bag and hurled it into the morning sun. He crashed onto concrete, elbows scraping, blood staining the pavement. Inside they kept laughing, proud of chasing away a stray dog. Then the glass doors flew open and Andrew ran out, panting. His face turned white when he saw Joshua on the ground. "What have you done?" he roared. "Do you know who this is?" Laughter died instantly. Coffee cups froze halfway to trembling lips. Andrew dropped to his knees, helping Joshua stand with shaking hands. "I am so sorry, sir. I swear I didn't know," he whispered. Joshua wiped blood from his cheek, picked up the crushed file. He looked at the kneeling staff, faces now pale with terror. "Even if they are the best coders in this state," he said calmly, "we cannot employ people without compassion in this company." One by one their names were called, one by one dismissed forever. That night Sandra sat alone in a hot, fanless one-room apartment. A newspaper on her table screamed, "CEO exposes bullies in disguise." Her phone buzzed suddenly. An interview invitation glowed on screen. Hope flared briefly, then shame crushed it. She cried herself to sleep. Next morning she counted every naira for taxi fare to the interview. At the park she argued with the driver over her change. Stepping backward in anger, she walked straight into a speeding motorcycle. She woke under bright hospital lights, leg in cast, head throbbing. The nurse smiled gently. "You're in general hospital. You'll be okay." 2 months had passed since dismissal. No company would touch her. Her name and face circled social media like a permanent stain. Friends vanished. Only Catherine and Cynthia still answered her calls. She lay staring at the ceiling, feeling completely and utterly alone. Then the door opened quietly and Joshua Anderson stepped inside. He carried a simple brown paper bag and no trace of anger. Sandra's lips trembled. Tears spilled before she could speak a word. Joshua placed the bag on her table and sat beside the bed. "I brought food," he said softly, voice warm like morning sun. She tried to sit up, but pain forced her back down. "I am sorry," she whispered, voice cracking with shame and regret. Joshua shook his head gently. "I didn't come for more apologies. I came to see the person behind the mistake," he continued. "People can change when they truly understand the pain they caused." He opened the bag, brought out jollof rice and chicken still hot. The smell filled the room. Sandra realized she hadn't eaten properly in days. "Eat first," he said, placing the food in her weak hands. While she ate in silence, tears kept rolling down her cheeks. When the plate was empty, Joshua finally spoke again. "I started a small foundation for second chances," he explained quietly. "It trains people who lost their way and want to return better. If you're willing to learn humility and serve others," he said, "there will always be a place for you when you heal." Sandra could only nod, throat too tight for words to escape. Joshua stood, placed an envelope on the side table, and smiled. "Get well soon, Sandra. The world still needs your skills." He walked out as quietly as he had entered the room. Inside the envelope was full coverage of her hospital bills and a handwritten note that simply read, "Kindness begins with us." Behind him, 4 former colleagues stood frozen at the door, eyes wide with shock. Catherine, Cynthia, Blessing, and Linda could not utter a single word. "Good afternoon," Joshua said calmly. "May I come in, please?" Sandra burst into tears and tried to sit upright in bed. He raised a gentle hand. "Don't stress yourself, just rest." "I'm so sorry," she whispered. "I don't know what came over us." "I'm not here for apologies," Joshua replied with quiet firmness. He placed the bag on the side table and smiled softly. "I have paid all your hospital bills in full today. You need to rest, eat well, and heal completely." Catherine stepped in slowly. "Sir, you came to visit her." He turned to them all. "I came for all of you." They exchanged confused glances, hearts pounding in the silence. Joshua sighed deeply, then sat in the visitor's chair. "When I left Port Harcourt branch, I told Andrew something important." They leaned forward, listening, barely daring to breathe. "I said morals matter just as much as skills. That belief still stands firm. But people can change too. You only have to truly want to grow." No one spoke. The room felt heavy with hope. Joshua looked at Sandra with gentle, understanding eyes. "You were cruel that day, but I've seen worse cruelty. What struck me was the emptiness behind your anger. It felt like you were fighting something deep inside." Sandra wiped fresh tears. "I lost my father 2 years ago. My brother is disabled, and I pay my mother's rent. I was angry at life and poured it on everyone." Joshua nodded slowly. "We all carry pain, Sandra. It's what we choose to do with that pain." He reached into his coat and pulled out 5 envelopes. Each envelope bore a name in elegant handwriting. Sandra, Catherine, Cynthia, Blessing. Linda stared in disbelief. "These are your letters of reinstatement to the company." Sandra's lips parted. "What did you just say?" "You will all return on probation as interns again. No titles, no special seats, no shortcuts this time. You will rebuild trust from the ground up together." Linda's knees buckled. She sat down hard on the floor. "Sir, you don't have to do this for us." "Yes," Cynthia whispered, "after everything we did to you." "I know," Joshua said. "Sometimes people need second chances." 3 months later, everything at Port Harcourt branch had changed completely. Sandra arrived early, even before the cleaners every morning. She wore simple clothes and arranged chairs for reception. She brought snacks and smiles for the janitors daily. Catherine and Blessing guided visitors with new, polite warmth. Cynthia and Linda volunteered to train staff on emotional intelligence. Rumors flew fast. "Those are the girls who bullied the CEO." "Yes, and now they're the humblest people here." Andrew, the branch manager, could hardly believe the transformation. The once arrogant ladies had become the office heartbeat. The 5 women were invited to speak on stage, dressed in matching navy gowns. They looked radiant. Sandra stepped forward first, voice trembling yet strong. "We laughed at a man because of his simple clothes. We didn't know he owned the entire building." The crowd gasped. Some wiped away sudden tears. Catherine continued, "He didn't fight us with anger. He taught us humanity and gave second chances. That single act of grace changed everything forever. We have created a foundation for broken, angry people. It's called Second Chance," Sandra announced proudly. Thunderous applause and tears filled the entire hall. In the front row, Joshua Anderson clapped slowly, smiling softly. The man they once mocked had become their purpose. As the conference ended and people began to leave, a man in dark suit approached Joshua quietly. "Sir, something strange happened at Lagos branch today." Joshua raised an eyebrow. "Strange in what way?" "A woman claims to be your sister, sir. She's demanding to take over part of the company." Joshua froze, his face suddenly cold and unreadable. "My sister has been dead for many years," he said. Yet something uncertain flickered deep in his eyes. In the car, Joshua stared out at speeding Lagos streets. His investigator Kunnel sat beside him in silence. She says her name is Chiaka, Kunnel finally spoke. Early 30s, dark-skinned, slender, very graceful woman. She claims she grew up in Benue after the war. She says your mother abandoned her to survive. Joshua's jaw tightened. I am an only child. She brought papers, old photos, even birth certificate. The certificate has your mother's name on it. Joshua turned sharply. Forged documents proved nothing at all. I agree, sir, but she looks exactly like your mother. She looks like you too, Kunnel added softly. Heavy silence filled the car for several minutes. They arrived at Andet Lagos headquarters in Victoria Island. Staff stood straighter. Cameras flashed. Whispers followed Joshua inside. He walked straight to the private executive floor. Where is she waiting? He asked without stopping. Conference room 4, Sir, Kunnel answered quickly. Joshua paused at the door, took one deep breath, then pushed it open and stepped inside alone. A tall, graceful woman rose from her chair. Joshua, she said softly, voice warm and familiar. He stared hard. Her face haunted him instantly. Sharp jawline, high cheekbones, almond eyes, his mother's face. I'm not here to take your company, she said. I've been searching for you for many years. My mother spoke of you before she died. Joshua frowned deeply. What was your mother's name? Grace, she answered, eyes never leaving his. The name struck him like sudden thunder inside. I buried my mother 10 years ago myself, he said. I stood in the rain and lowered her coffin. So did I, Chiaka whispered, stepping closer. She pulled a folded letter from her handbag. This is from her. She wanted you to have it. She said only come when ready to forgive. Joshua hesitated, then took the letter carefully. He recognized the shaky, emotional handwriting instantly. My dear children, it began. Please, forgive me. I did what I had to do to survive war. Pain kept us apart, but I loved you both. His hands trembled as he read every word. That night in his penthouse, Joshua sat alone. The letter lay open beside a glass of whiskey. If this was true, he had a living sister. But why appear now, exactly at this moment? Second Chance was launching, and it was expanding fast. He picked up his phone and dialed Kunal, put eyes on her 24 hours a day. I want full background, birth records, everything possible. Even fingerprints, Joshua added, voice low and firm. He hung up and stared into the dark city. A new storm was coming. He could feel it. She's been meeting secretly with former board member Kelvin Dyke. Next morning, Sandra sat in Second Chance office. When Joshua entered, Sandra stood instantly. Yes, sir, anything you need from me. You've seen both sides of life and no real betrayal. I need someone who can read people with clear eyes. I don't know truth yet, but I trust you completely. She nodded, feeling how far she had truly come. Later that day, Chiaka sat in an island cafe waiting. Sandra walked in, smiling politely, and took the opposite seat. Chiaka smiled warmly. It has been an absolute whirlwind, but Sandra noticed dates that refused to line up. Chiaka kept checking her phone with nervous little glances. Chiaka excused herself to the restroom, leaving her phone. It buzzed loudly. Sandra hesitated only 1 second. Kelvin says board will back you if Joshua resists. He has fake DNA copies ready. Do not mess up. Sandra's breath caught sharp in her throat like knives. That same evening, Sandra burst into Joshua's office sweating. Chiaka stood there, eyes ice cold, fake smile completely gone. Beside her walked Kelvin Dyke, risen from the shadows. You're right, Chiaka said. I am not his sister. Joshua spoke low. You faked family to steal my empire. Kelvin chuckled. Joshua, always too noble for business survival. Chiaka added coldly. Media will eat the abandoned sister story. Sandra stepped forward bravely. We have proof of everything. Texts, fake documents, the entire DNA scam exposed. Who believes a disgraced bully turned charity girl? Joshua did not move, simply sat back down calmly. He pulled out his phone and tapped once silently. Kelvin's smirk vanished like smoke in sudden wind. Joshua looked up. You forgot every boardroom is recorded. You both just confessed on high-definition company surveillance. Chiaka turned ghost pale. Sandra's jaw dropped in shock. Joshua turned the screen and pressed play without mercy. Their own voices echoed. Fake DNA, take everything, mess up. Checkmate delivered in crystal clear corporate audio. Joshua stood tall. You said business is only power. I learned character sustains what strategy merely builds. Guards handcuffed Kelvin and Chiaka without further words. Chiaka collapsed into a chair, shaking and crying. "I was desperate," she whispered. "Kelvin promised me millions." Joshua looked down, heart heavy with pain, not hate. She looked up, tears falling. "Because you seemed perfect." 2 days later, headlines exploded across every Nigerian platform. Fake sister and ex-board member try to steal dirt. Secret recording saves billionaire CEO from wicked scam. Sandra Aru, once disgraced staff, exposes massive fraud. Twitter went wild, from disgrace to grace in months. Second Chance Foundation trended #1 nationwide. Thousands of employees watched live from every branch. He stepped on stage calm, human, and unbreakable. Sandra stood proudly beside him in official capacity. She spoke first. "I once laughed at my own CEO. I lost job, dignity, everything in one cruel moment. But Second Chance found me and changed my soul." Joshua took the mic. "And it was never about money alone. You don't build future with code without character." Thunderous applause shook the entire Lagos headquarters building. That night, Joshua sat alone when his phone buzzed. Unknown number. "You stopped Kelvin, but I know your past." Joshua stared, feeling the initials like old sharp scars. 3 days later, National Tech Summit in Abuja arrived. Joshua was keynote speaker. Every camera waited hungry. Connell whispered backstage, "David will try public humiliation." Joshua straightened tie. "Let him come with everything." Lights blazed. Joshua began, 10 years ago, village boy. Today, and it employs over 100,000 Africans. But this story was never mine alone, ever. It belongs to many hands, seen and unseen. A man in black suit stood in middle row. DavidAikenLabby.com, smirking, ready for war. "Mr. Anderson," he shouted, "tell them you stole my code. Tell them how you erased me from history." Phones rose. Journalists typed at speed of light. Joshua smiled. "David, welcome back after 10 years. You are right, you helped birth the first prototype." He pulled original partnership paper from his jacket. "Your 10% founding share was never removed. David, I kept it safe all these silent years. You chose revenge instead of simply coming home." Gasps filled hall. David's face twitched in shock. Joshua continued, "But revenge turned into corporate sabotage. Legal team has proof you cloned our product. You tried selling it abroad with Kelvin last week." Security stepped forward and escorted David away quietly. Joshua faced the crowd. Integrity outlives every innovation. 1 week later, new award sat on Joshua's shelf. Sandra knocked. "We just hit 20 million users. Sir, someone wants to see you with no appointment." Kiamaka entered in simple clothes, no makeup, humble. "I came to thank you for not pressing charges. I now teach rural kids computer in Makurdi. This time I build with truth, not lies." Joshua smiled gently. "Real second chances are always yours." 3 months later, and at 10-year anniversary gala night, Joshua stood on stage with every redeemed soul. Sandra, Catherine, Blessing, Linda, and many returned faces. Second Chance is now core of Andut culture. We fund those who fell but want to rise. The crowd rose in standing ovation that shook walls. Joshua looked at every face that once hurt him. He saw the ones who helped him rebuild stronger. And in that moment he finally understood truth. The greatest empire is not built by being strongest. It is built by being kindest again and again. What is your view about this beautiful redemption story? Where are you reading or watching from tonight? If you enjoyed, please comment, share, and subscribe for more.